Hey, what's up everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 9, and the name of this episode is Runaway Train. This was a good episode, and I'm sorry this review was late. I had a lot going on. But before I get started, let me send a special shout out to my cousin Andrew Webster and his beautiful bride, Rochelle. They just got married on Saturday. May you guys have a great marriage, and I wish you nothing but, love and happiness. And also I want to send a shout out to to my uncle John Bryant. He just celebrated his 70th birthday, and definitely that's definitely a milestone. So definitely a major shout out to him and to the family. And I'm just really happy that my family are making great strides in their lives. And so Andrew, Michelle, direct from me to you. Love you guys, and I wish you nothing but the best in your marriage. And definitely, Uncle Johnny, keep on living and keep on fighting. And so with that, let me begin with this review. So pretty much this episode was really centered around the bishop and around his Silver Jubilee. And in the beginning, we actually see the bishop is talking to Grace, and they're kind of going over all of the, pretty much going over everything about the event. And we really see that he's kind of struggling without Lady May there, because Lady May is like the mistress of ceremonies. She's always paying attention to detail. But since this is his event and Lady May is no longer, on his side, he now has to do everything on his own. And Corinne is busy working with her, so Grace is stepping in to help him out, and she's like, look, I'm here to help you. And it was crazy, because all of a sudden Grace brings up Rochelle Cross, aka Rochelle the Jezebel. And he pretty much, the bishop is like, what's your deal with her? And Grace didn't hold back. She told her, I don't trust her. But he's like, but you're working with her. She's like, yes, I'm working with her to get close to her, to find out why is she at this church and what is her business, but I don't trust her. And it is what it is. And so what's your business with her? And then he let her know that he, invested money in, the cryptocurrency. And she told him, you better get your money back, because I don't trust it at all. Then we see that once he gets back to his office, Corinne gives him the divorce papers, and they both have to sign. And once they sign, then the divorce is final. And we see that the bishop is so bothered by this, because here it is, he thought he was making a chess move by signing divorce papers, but now it's taking a life on his own, because here it is, you initiated a divorce that you don't even want, and now you're at the final stages that after you sign on that dotted line and after she signs, 43 years of marriage goes down the drain. So pretty much we see that we've had many, in this episode, there were many situations where Percy was just throwing subliminals at the bishop. He has a conversation with, with the bishop about, his divorce papers. He's pretty much saying that, well, you got a lot of living to do, so you gotta, make your best move. And see what it goes from there. And then later on, we see in this episode, the bishop comes home because he's living with Percy, and there's this pretty woman there, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think her name was let me see. Her name was Teresa, and she was obviously a woman of the night that was there, that was a guest of Percy's, But Percy was asleep, and she was trying to throw it at the bishop. And, the bishop told her no, but definitely was checking her out when she was walking out because she had that dress on and everything. And then we see later on he talks to Percy about it. He was like, so is your female friend about to come back? And he was like, oh no, I only can afford that once a week. And at the end of the day, you think that they want to rub your feet and they want to cater to you, but it's all about money. That's what that woman wants from me. She wants my money, and she'll just do these little things just to get my money. So you have to question, what does Rochelle want to do with you? What does Rochelle really want with you? Because she definitely ain't there to rub your feet. And here it is, she's young, she's beautiful, she's sexy. What would she want with an old man who's got Parkinson's and is pretty much a silver gentleman because he's gray? And we see that when he dropped that, I was like literally blown away. I was like, Percy is like a true, he's kind of like a smooth genius. Like, he just drops things and has you thinking. And when he brought that up about old girl, where what is Rochelle's deal with you? What does she want? What is she about? Because it makes perfect sense. What would this young woman want with an old man like you? So I thought that was pretty interesting. Alright, so we definitely see that go on. So another scene I want to talk about is Charity. The bishop goes to see Charity. Charity is there with Kevin and Aaron and baby Nathan, and he looks at Charity and can tell that Charity is bothered. But we also see in this scene that Aaron approaches the bishop, and he said that my dad has been trying to call you. He pretty much has pancreatic cancer, and he's now going through chemo, and pretty much the bishop was like, oh yeah, I know he's been calling me, I just been tied away. But Aaron is pretty much saying that, look, he really needs to hear from you, because he's now staying in a nursing home, and he's pretty much towards the end of his life. And we kind of see that the bishop has mixed emotions about it, because we do remember, Lionel did have an affair with Lady May. But then we also remember that the bishop had an affair with Mavis, Lady May's sister. So, hey, two wrongs don't make a right. So pretty much we also see in this episode that the bishop has a sit down with Sophia, and I'm just gonna tie everything with Sophia in. Pretty much, him and Sophia have a conversation. And pretty much, Sophia has been locked in her room all this time. She really hasn't been dealing with anybody ever since, she found out that she can no longer have children. And we've seen how this has completely, shooken her whole foundation. And pretty much, the bishop understood. He's like, I understand that you're mad. I mean, hey, I have Parkinson's. That completely shifted my life, but I didn't give up on God. But then he convinces her to come to the Silver Jubilee because I have a special message just for you. We see that Sophia comes to the Silver Jubilee, but afterwards she really wasn't feeling it. And what he does is that he gives her a real message. And this was a proof, that the bishop is a true man of God, and he is called, to be a minister and to help, the sick and the shut-in and those who are wandering. He's there to bring people closer to God. So we see that the bishop has a calling, but at the end of the day, the bishop is a man nonetheless. And I'm going to definitely get on him too, because the bishop was doing some great things, but then he did a lot of messed up things too. But in this scene with Sophia, he talks about, being on this runaway train, and, the train is heading towards, you know, no one knows where the train is headed, but everybody's panicking because no one knows where the train is headed, and there's a lot of turbulence and everybody's freaking out. So he talks about a person pretty much representing Sophia runs all the way to the front of the train to talk to the conductor, who is God. And God pretty much says that, look, I'm doing the best I can, and tell everybody I love them. Go back and tell everybody that, meaning go back and preach the word, that I love them and that I'm here for them. And we see that did get to Sophia, because Sophia, the whole idea is that, look, sometimes life throws you curveballs. You don't always understand why things happen, but just know that God is always there, and that God always has love for you, and that He never leaves nor forsakes you. Even when you think He's not there, He actually is. So we see that actually did get to Sophia a little bit, because that was a great message, and it really spoke to her situation. That here it is, God has, life has thrown her a curveball where she can't have children, and we've seen that has completely shaken her foundation. But yet, all of us go through that. All of us, have been hit with something that was literally life-shattering or upsetting to your well-being. But even in those dark moments, God is always there, and He's going to help you to get through whatever it is you're going through. So we see that message actually touched her. And then we got another situation where Percy dropped a gem in the bishop's lap, where he was talking about about meeting up with Lionel. And Percy was like, so are you going to meet up with your friend? And he was like, and pretty much the bishop was kind of up in the air whether he's going to do it or not. But really, we know the bishop really don't want to go there, because he still got a lot of anger and animosity, against Lionel for sleeping with May. But Percy says something really good. He says that, look, you should reach out to him, because in times through our lives, we get one person that we get to fix and actually, do things over again. He may be your do-over. And I was like, Percy, if you don't stop dropping these subliminals, my brother. I was like, okay, I was really Team Percy in this episode, and I'm thinking it's good that he's there with Percy, because Percy is kind of helping him to navigate through all this going on. He's up in the air about signing the divorce papers. He's now been hit with the fact that Lionel is dying of pancreatic cancer, and yet he has all of this anger built up, against Lionel for sleeping with Lady May. And also, here it is, you got this young peach, Rochelle the Jezebel, who's trying to get up to the bishop, and Percy's kind of dropping that gem out there. What does she want with you? Because you an old man. You definitely ain't going to be able to hit her wall to wall. So what does she want? So, as I said, Percy was kind of like that, how Shakespeare, has the ghost, the ghost that kind of tells the story, and he does it in a very subliminal way. That's exactly what Percy was this episode, and I was so here for it. Then we get a scene where Bishop actually talks to Charity, and he could tell, he pretty much brings up that he could tell that she was in a funk when he saw her earlier with Kevin and Aaron. And she lets him know that, look, they're a couple, and they're about to buy a house, and they're talking about getting married. It's like everything is happening so fast, and why is it that everybody gets their fairy tale except for me? And he pretty much let her know that, look, you need to focus on your son. And yeah, Kevin's happy now, but we all know Kevin has not been happy for a long, long time. And that is true. Since we've known Kevin from season 1, Kevin been going through it. Because he loved Charity, but he wasn't in love with her. And yet he was kind of staying in the marriage to kind of hide his homosexuality. But now he's at a place where he's now able to stand in the sun and be himself. But that took some time for him to get to that. And Aaron was one of the people that helped him to get there. But he pretty much says that, look, you know, I have my situation going on with your mother. You know, I got, you know, Jacob in his situation, you know, with him and Carissa and with Zora. And then I also got this situation with Grace being in the papers, you know. So, you know, the whole idea is that letting her know that, look, find your passion and find your calling, and you'll get happiness. You'll find your own happiness versus you groveling and graping over Kevin and Aaron's situation, because we all know that she's jealous that here it is, these two men are happy together, and yet the man that she chose completely played her for a fool. But hey, you know, happiness comes from within, you know, and you have to be happy within yourself first before you can find, you know, someone else who also adds to that happiness versus taking away from it. But then he actually says that, you know, asks her to sing at the Jubilee, and pretty much, you know, they actually sing the duet together. You know, it's the Bishop's song, you know. Yeah, what was the name of the song? If I Can Help Somebody. Because, you know, that was a song that he sung, you know, a few episodes ago. I think it was season 1, when he had shot Uncle Mac. And here it is, he was now pastoring after doing that, and it being in the papers, and there was nobody in the congregation, and no one was really moved by his message. So he just starts breaking out, is my living shall be in vain, oh my living shall be in vain. And it's like he sung the song. He pretty much said that, yeah, I'm gonna sing the song as a duet with you. And we see the two of them singing the song together, and I was like, wow, that just took me back, because that's the Bishop song, though. If I Can Help Somebody, because that's what he does. We see him throughout this episode helping people, but then we also see that he got his issues. So here it is, you know, they're at the Silver Jubilee. We see Grace actually introduces her father as a man of faith, and we see Sophia's there, and we definitely can tell Sophia's going through it, and we see Rochelle sitting next to her, and I think Rochelle notices that something is different about Sophia, but it makes me question, did Rochelle have something to do with what happened to Sophia? I mean, we know this woman got her hands in so many different places and has connections everywhere. Because normally in a situation like that, they usually ask you, you know, like, you know, as far as removing her ovaries or a medical procedure like that, they usually ask the family first, because Sophia was a minor. They just went ahead and did it, and they found out after the fact. So if anything, that was rather interesting that they did that. But I'm pretty sure that Rochelle knows about this, because Rochelle got her hand in every pot across the board. So afterwards, after the service, we see that Connie, the head deaconess, tells the bishop, "Oh, you did a phenomenal job today, Bishop. Oh, and Lady May with her Lady Day, oh, she definitely got to step her game up if she gon' try to top that." And then he was like, "This is not a competition, Connie." She was like, "Yes, it is. I fell out." I was like, "Connie, you better tell the truth." Because Connie just straight slapped him with the truth. Like, yes, it is. And we know that's what's going on between him and May. Him and May have literally been playing chess with each other this whole time, with their subliminal reads and them taking, you know, shots at each other, them making certain moves to kind of like knock the other one off their game. It is a competition, and it's funny because this is supposed to be the house of the Lord and bringing people to God, but yet the heads of the church are not practicing what they're preaching, which is crazy. Oh yes, I already talked about that. About him meeting with Sophia and telling Sophia that, with that tale about the runaway train, and that, God wants you to be happy again, regardless of what bad happens to you. Don't give up on him, because even in your bad times, he's always there for you. So that was a very powerful scene, and I was just like, I was Team Bishop in that moment. Like, you better preach, and you better reach that lost soul. So after Percy had that moment with the bishop, where he kind of let him know, like, you need to kind of figure out what's your deal with Rochelle and what she want with you. Because why is this young, pretty, sexy woman want an old man like you with Parkinson's disease? And obviously you're probably going to need, some help rising to the occasion, if you know what I mean. Because then we see, after he had that conversation with Percy, he goes to his room and he looks at a picture of his younger version of himself and looks at himself in the mirror, and it definitely dawned on him, I'm an old man. What does this young piece want with me? So he finally reaches out to Rochelle, and pretty much he asks about his investments, and she says that, well, you know how these investments are. You have to be patient. It takes time. And then he begins to ask her, what are you doing in my life? And she's like, well, excuse me. He's like, I'm just not sure. You say you love me, but... And she's like, yeah, and it's true. He's like, but why do you love me? He's like, I'm an old man. There are other available young men out here that will probably get in line to get with someone as beautiful as you. Why are you coming after me? And she's pretty much, and she's kind of like taken aback, like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, I want to know, like, why me? And are you using me? And then, we all know what the real deal is, but then Rochelle was like, take out your phone. And he pulls up, the figures to show that that he's actually starting to earn money from his investment. And I was like, So she literally played this out. She's like, here it is. I'm helping you to make money, and I'm not getting nothing in return. You're making money already. I'm doing this at the kindness of my heart, and I'm not even getting paid for me investing your money. So now I want to ask you, Bishop, who's using who? And I was like, oh, she used that reverse psychology like nothing else. And then starts getting, teary-eyed, and she was like, if anything, I'm questioning, are you using me? And she says, your family is full of snakes. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. I've proven that I'm about you, and yet you keep doubting me. You keep questioning me. Your whole family doubts me, and I've done nothing but good to you guys. And she gets all emotional, and then when she starts crying, that's when the bishop begins to quiver, and he's like, I will never doubt you again. And then we see her go in, and we see that tear fall. I'm like, LaToya Lucky, you better get you an Emmy, girl. She was acting in this episode, and I love LaToya Lucky. Even back when she was with Destiny's Child. Baby, you did that. Because that scene, she had me literally like, whoa, this woman is evil. Jezebel is petting the dogs rather than being eaten by them. She flipped the role of Rochelle, of her being a Jezebel in the house of God. She got the bishop wrapped around her finger, and I was like, whoa, she did that. So then we see that the bishop and Percy have a conversation, and he tells him that he's going to go see Lionel. We see that Lionel's in a nursing home, and once he gets there, he sees this woman sitting down crying, and he sits with her and begins to minister to her, and he asks her what's going on, and she's saying that she's really upset that she had to put her father in this nursing home, because here it is, she has to work, she has 2 children, she can't, and her father needs around-the-clock care that she can't provide. And she's like, she's upset that she can't care for him, and she feels bad that she had to put him in this facility. But the bishop ministered to her and says that, look, God has helped you to put him in a situation where he can get the care that you can't give him. You've done all you can, and now you have to let God take control, and he's relieved you of having to do that, and now he's put him in a facility where there's people who can give him the care that he needs, the care that you can't provide. And we see that the woman breaks down, and she says, what you're doing is a pure act of love for your father, because you want your father to get the best care, and since you can't give it to him, you gave him to a facility that will be able to look after him. And I was like, Bishop, you better preach. I was so there for that, and they prayed together. Then it completely went left when he went to go see Lionel. And he's pretty much and we see that Lionel's taking his medication, and Lionel looks bad. And pretty much the bishop comes in there, and Lionel's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I don't expect your forgiveness, but I know what I did was wrong, and I know I'm wrong in 1,000 ways. And then he was like, no, you're wrong in 1,000,000 ways. And then begins to tell him that the worst thing that Jesus ever had to deal with was the betrayal of a friend. Talking about Judas Iscariot, and he did it with a kiss on the cheek. So he pretty much compared him to Judas, that you betrayed me, and then tells Lionel, this is the last time we're going to see each other in this life, but I forgive you. And I'm like, that was so mean and evil-spirited. I'm like, after you just got finished pastoring to this woman, you come in there and you still got a vendetta and you still got anger towards Lionel? Yeah, it's messed up that he slept with your wife and him being your best friend, but you are not guiltless, because you were having an affair with your wife's sister, and it was your affair with Mavis that prompted her to go after Lionel, because she wanted to hurt you like you hurt her. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who hurt who, both sides are wrong, because two wrongs don't make a right. But the bishop really angered me with that. I'm like, there was no God in that right there. And trust me, God don't like ugly. So we see that the bishop goes back to his office. We see that he got the divorce papers, and there's a spot for him to sign and a spot for Lady May to sign. He decides to sign it, takes it to Lady May, and she sees that he signed it, and she's like, why did you sign it, James? Why did you sign? And he was like, look, I don't have no rights to this marriage. Probably I never did, but it's up to you. What do you want to do? So, of course, you signed your name. Lady May signs hers. So now, once they deliver that back to the courts, their divorce is final. And we see that both of them don't want this divorce. And it's crazy, because early in this episode, Jacob was the one that threw the gem. It was another one that threw a gem at the bishop. He was like, because he was talking to Jacob about, should I sign the papers? And Jacob was like, well, if you don't want a divorce, don't sign them. You have your Silver Jubilee. Mom can have her Lady Day, and then you guys go into your corners. Fight's over. I'm like, Jacob gave him one of the best advices about this whole divorce situation. And yet the bishop, yet again, made a move that now got counteracted by Lady May. First was with you delivering divorce papers, and now it's with signing the divorce. So it's like the bishop has now created a situation where now, once those papers get back to the courts, now you'll get the divorce that you don't want. And you see them going back and forth. Neither one of them want this divorce. But the bishop started this fight. And now this fight has now taken on a life of its own. So then we see he gets back to his office, because he's shaken up. She's shooken up. Neither one of them want a divorce, but two of them, but they're so stuck in their pride and their egos, nobody wants to give in. So he goes to his office. Corinne lets him know that you just missed Sophia. When he goes into his office, he sees that Sophia gave him back the Bible that he gave her. And I'm like, yeah, that was a testament right there that God don't like ugly. Yeah, you reached to her, but yet she still is not ready to get back to where she was very active in the church, preaching for the little saints. Sophia is still broken and still upset with God. So that goes to show you, Bishop, you gotta practice what you preach. You can't be about forgiveness and about talking about, being the bigger person when yet you're still groveling in your hatred and jealousy and your in your mess because you can't forgive Lionel for what he did to Lady May. But then again, I understand why you would kind of be someone standoffish, because why is it that you want forgiveness now that you're dying? Why didn't you actually work this out when everything was good? So you kind of have that in your mind too, that why all of a sudden now you ask for forgiveness because you're about to die? And it kind of question, is it really genuine, or are you just doing this because you feel guilty and you don't want to die with this on your conscience? But yeah, this was a really good episode, and it really goes to show that yes, the bishop is a man of God, but yet the bishop is a man, and it goes to show you that no matter how close you are to the Lord, you're still human at the end of the day. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Greenleaf. So until next time, everybody, take care.